Please welcome Dr. Ran Sharon.
I was sitting in my Warsaw office when a young Polish scientist came over and said that he believes he can transform plastic waste and turn it into mineral oil. Now, failing chemistry, I asked him, what the hell is mineral oil? And he said, there's so many applications, these are petrochemicals, but you might know it as a baby oil. And I said, bullshit, because I know baby oils are made from babies. So the young scientist said, actually you are wrong, because it's not made from babies, it's actually made from crude. And I goes like, I hope my mother knew that when she was looking at me. But he said also, from crude you make other stuff as well. And I said, what? And he said, you make anything from stoking to Vaseline to wheels to lipsticks and of course, fuel. And I thought to myself, it is actually cool, but what's the issue? Turning plastic into mineral oil? Is there really a use for it? Is there a problem? And back at that time, 16 years ago, there were three starting to have some problems. First one was there was a bit of a social unrest. People were looking for jobs created, people started to talk about we need to create jobs to our people. The second thing was, plastic might be a problem, waste might be an issue, but the number one issue was crude, the volatility. Crude went up to above 100 and went down, up and down. So I said, okay, if there is a problem, let's see what we can do with that. And today, with a little bit of quantum leap, probably you read once in a while about the problem of plastic waste. Have you heard about that? So the question is there really a plastic problem? So the UN says that actually it's not a problem, but it's an epidemic. All the data shows that within the next 10 years, we are going to double the amount of plastic we consume and use and manufacture. So it's not just a problem, it's a big one. What happens to plastic today? We all contribute, and it goes into landfills, it goes into the ocean, it goes into recycling plastic to plastic. There are some attempts to make plastic to energy and plastic to fuel. But in reality, do we end the life of plastics? Do we solve the problem? And the truth, not really. So we thought, can we really ban plastic? Can we avoid plastic? Now try to imagine how the medicine world will look without plastic. How we will consume our food without plastic. What will happen with cars? 30% weight less, but create way more effects and greenhouse effects of way more than the worst of plastics today. So can we get rid of plastic? Actually, no. And then we thought about the term plastic waste, and we opened the dictionary. And we saw that the dictionary treats plastic waste as garbage, as something which is useless. Now, coming from Israel, one of my favorite scholars was the Rambam, 12th century. And he said that actually waste is a thing which is being misplaced. So then it brought us and we said, maybe there is something out there. And we look at waste as a misplaced resource. So what do you do with a misplaced resource? So we decided why to recycle and bring the plastic to plastic, why not to upcycle? Start with something with a negative and turn into something with a positive. We can do much better. Think about waste into a virgin product. So our journey started in Poland with a small lab. This one actually, trust me, it looked worse, but this was a little bit of a photo op. And then we created in 2006, we created a pilot lab in Poland in order to see that not just the chemistry work, but the process work. And then we said, okay, when we are able to see that our process work and we can take plastic and transform it into something else, can we scale it up? And this is our recent facility in South Africa, which I'll share a few seconds about. What do we do? So in a nutshell, we take post-consumer plastic waste. The first part, we crack the plastic and we bring it into the hydrocarbon chain, which means mix of hydrocarbons that looks and smell a little bit like crude oil. Then we are starting to hydrotreat it, which means we use hydrogen in order to take sulfur away, which is the bad stuff, to take the color away, to take the smell away. So in the end, we have families of products. We have waxes that looks like Snow White. We have solvents that are FDA standards. And we have white oils that looks like water that smells nothing. These are wonderful. This is what we do. So Clariter is for about 16 years. And we are a bit odd because we were spending in R&D about 108,000 man days, which is 300 years, man years, which is quite a lot for a small private company that is doing R&D. We have also deployed more than 35 million euro in this project. We worked with 5 engineering companies, 3 universities. We have 2 professors, 7 doctors. We are trying, but we are also doing. And how do you do stuff? You do stuff when you have a crazy team. We have about 70 people, but we are actually coming from 30 nationalities and we speak 21 languages. Trust me, a meeting in my company is challenging. Culture is an issue, but we overcome because we all have a common dream. But then, in South Africa, I learned a famous quote, which says, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. And lucky for us, from the beginning, we had another team of helpers. We have about 15 YPOs involved in our project. Partners, suppliers, shareholders, board members, employees. It brings to a situation that you don't need to sugarcoat stuff. You can come and say, that's my problem, that's my issue, can you help? And we have a team of around 15 ambassadors that takes the Clariter story and think, how can we make it different? How can we make it better? Now the issue, it was not always an easy ride. Trust me, we were about 5 times on the verge of bankruptcy. We were about 10 times when we failed in a way that we looked ourselves and we say, shit, I need to look for a job. Luckily, there was always someone in the room that says, you know, when shit hits the fan, you know, let's try it again. And we did. So we are constantly improving and we are constantly developing. One of the things that happened to us, and we were thinking, what do you do with solvents, oils, and waxes? So we started to create also applications. Vaseline, shoe polish, creams. And we are now developing a small industrial zone around our activity for the purpose of creating jobs for the local community. But in a way, not that we give them jobs, but they create jobs by themselves because we just give them a recipe. We just tell them this is how you make a Vaseline. And later on, hopefully in a few months, you can see in South African market our product, which will actually not be a Clariter product, it will be a local entrepreneur product based on what we did. We created as a result of this what is called today a circular economy. Think how cool it is when you go to IKEA and you buy a furniture and it's covered with plastic, at the end you throw it away. And this plastic turns out at the end, it goes into a Clariter facility, it's being converted, let's say, into a wax. And the next time you go to IKEA and you buy a little candle, there is a little bit of Clariter wax inside. You are actually creating a situation that from one side you end the life of plastic, but from the other side, you're also creating an alternative for fuels and others. By this, we managed to complete the triangle of sustainability. When people talk about sustainability, they usually talk about the environment. And then they talk about economics of the environment. But they forget the social element. And if you take the 3 together, you can resolve some of the problems that we looked at in the past. We are looking now of how do we scale it further? How do we go to other markets? How do we use disruptiveness in the things we do? Do we go and we compete with the big petrochemicals, or we go to them and we say, why don't you take our product and blend them with your products? And by this helping the environment, the society to decrease plastic, to make end of life of these types of plastics. To our surprises, they started to listen. So soon, hopefully, there will be a Clariter inside. Opa, sorry. Now it's about time for us to look to other places. So we're currently exploring 5 different locations, mainly in the same time zones: South Africa, Israel, Holland, UK, and Poland. We look at this and we say, like, who wants to tag along? Who wants to come with us to the journey? Because the journey is much greater than the team that is involved. Now, you remember the young Polish scientist that came over. So this is Professor Andrzej Bilicki. He worked until a week before he died, at the age of 94. And Andrzej, and if you don't believe so, the handsome guy next to Andrzej, it's me. And what he taught me is that you can be an entrepreneur, an innovator, a thinker, even when you are close to 90. And I remember when I spoke with him and I said, but listen, we need to think about stock option plans for the employees. He says, you can cross me out. I don't think that I need one. So we are continuing the legacy of Professor Bilicki. We are looking at how can we transform plastic waste into advanced products that are used in cosmetics and in everyday activity, in petrochemicals. We know that the future needs a different, and we know it can be different, and it will be different. Thank you.